Call the Derek Perry Allstate Agency today at 252-758-8886.
¿Estás en buenas manos?
Are you in good hands?
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Hello, Eastern North Carolina. I'm Matt Murchison here at Greenville Nissan. I'm along with Scotty Turner.
Hello, my friend.
How are you?
I'm doing great, Matt.
Good. Good. And we're going to talk about the great lineup of SUVs right here of Greenville Nissan.
Matt, I know that you know a lot right now when it comes to the lease prices. Zero money down right now on these vehicles. I think it's a great time for people to jump on these leases.
That's right. You know, great lease special right now on the road. Zero down, $375 a month. That's a heck of a deal right there on a great vehicle that gets great gas mileage, has great technologies, great safety features on that vehicle. We've got the all-new Pathfinder, which is a fun car.
Now, we love our Pathfinder. Third row seat, all redesigned, all the safety technology that it didn't have before. Folks, right now, if you ever wanted a short-term lease, this is the time. So that means more money for your trade and a better lease payment.
That's right. Lease payment on the Pathfinder right now, zero down, $395 a month right now, starting there. And we got the Murano, which is a fantastic luxury vehicle right there, 1.9 available on that at greenvillenissan.com and Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Attention business owners and management, Roebuck Staffing of Greenville and New Bern is here for you. Will Roebuck and his staff are committed to fulfilling your staffing needs. Whether you're a contractor, a manufacturing company, or if you just need janitorial or clerical work for your business. Roebuck Staffing also does temporary to permanent and direct hiring. Roebuck Staffing is your trusted partner for all of your staffing needs and employment opportunities. Call Roebuck Staffing at 252-364-8700 or find them online at roebuckstaffing.com.
Bill Clark Homes is proud to support East Carolina athletics. The Clark family continues to make significant contributions to help ECU succeed on the field. And Bill Clark Homes is building quality homes in Pitt County with prices ranging from the 200s on up to $500,000. Their new 4,000-foot design center is now open and unlike anything you've seen before. The new Bill Clark Homes Design Center is located on the corner of Red Banks Road and Greenville Boulevard. Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
Greenville. Are you sure this is legal? Hear the Pirates play no matter where you are.
I don't know.
94.3thegame.com. Do you live ECU? Do you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 94.3thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome in to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game. Big edition on this Wednesday, May 10th episode. We got a little bit of everything on the docket. We're going to be talking some NFL. Of course, this is an ECU-centric show. But later today, we're going to visit with Steve Beuerlein, the former Carolina Panthers quarterback, also a current NFL analyst. So we're going to talk NFL draft, Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young heading to the Panthers, and a whole lot more with Steve Beuerlein. We also got a ton of ECU news. Transfer portal. The Pirates just added a new receiver. Major position of need. We'll get into that here shortly. New addition to the coaching staff from an offensive analyst perspective who has some offensive coordinator experience. We'll talk about that. We got ECU baseball coming up later today. Old Dominion hosting East Carolina. That'll be a 3 o'clock first pitch. You can hear it on 94.3 The Game. Scott Rogers will be on the call here on this exact station. We may get into the hosting discussion. ECU starting to creep up the RPI as well. And maybe we'll even talk about Mike Oresco's long statement. If I read it in its entirety, it may take the entire hour. But we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. Philip Pilkington is in studio with me. Philip, we got a lot to talk about, man. NFL, ECU. I guess we'll start with ECU. I'm excited about visiting with Steve Beuerlein later. We can kind of talk about Panthers a little bit here shortly in our football segment to start off with. But the Pirates, it's been a busy offseason in terms of adding some transfers, and wide receiver was arguably the biggest need. ECU addressing at least part of that last night, getting the commitment of Keelan Marion, a UConn transfer. And not the biggest household name, so to speak, but if you've been following this recruitment, a guy who had a standout freshman season in 2021, originally from Georgia, as a freshman for a pretty bad UConn team, had 28 catches, 474 yards, nearly 17 yards a catch, I think around 16 yards a catch, which led the team. Big-time deep threat. And you look at this wide receiving corps, we kind of have a lot of questions about this East Carolina offense heading into 2023. Isaiah Winstead gone, C.J. Johnson gone. This guy, I think, will at least help pick up some of the slack. He's a pretty proven product.
No, he definitely will. And one of the biggest questions that I had, not that there isn't more than just one, is who's going to be that deep threat guy. Now that Jalen Johnson has moved into the slot, it's clear what role they want Jalen to play, and that role is not the top part of the route tree. We needed a guy who could push the ball, who could catch the ball from a quarterback who pushes the ball down the field and run that top part of the route tree, because home run plays are very much part of the game in 2023.
Yeah, and explosion plays, we saw it so often last year. Keaton Mitchell, how good did he make the ECU offense look at times? If they were sputtering, Keaton Mitchell would bust off a big run. And you lose that now with Keaton Mitchell, and I think you lose part of that with the ground game. Yes, you got Javius Bond coming in as a freshman with some explosiveness, but I think you're going to have to make some plays over the top with the passing game. Josiah Hatfield is back. He's one of the few guys who are returning for this football receiving core that we know can take the top off the defense. The interesting thing about Keelan Marion, I have a VIP write-up on hoistthecolors.net, kind of looking at three thoughts on him. So he had an elite Pro Football Focus grade, Philip, on passes 20 yards downfield, 95.6. For people that don't understand Pro Football Focus, they grade players on a scale of 0 to 100. So he's about as good as you can get on passes 20 yards down the field. 35% of his targets during that standout freshman season came on passes 20 yards down the field or more. So a guy who, to me, when I watched the film, great athlete, not the biggest dude in the world. He's about 6 foot, 200, so he's not tall. I think he's built pretty well, but uses his speed. And then the other thing is he can catch the short pass and make a big play out of that. So we were talking, before the show, hey, what type of receiver is this guy going to be? I don't think he's going to be maybe the 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, hey, let's go get a first down guy necessarily, but I think he's the guy who at any moment in the game can kind of hit that big play.
It is, and that can be a game changer. And that's, you mentioned we lost it with Keaton, and obviously we'll need to still find it in the running game, but it's big to have in the passing game. It's such a passing game nowadays as opposed to what it was in the early 2000s and even going back into time. So I really think that's good. I think that he and Josiah could complement each other very well if they're both on the field at the same time on opposite sides. So I think that'll be good. And then you mentioned, you probably won't be that 3rd and 4 type guy, but I think that we do have a few of those guys, and especially a guy like Jalen Johnson, as well as having Shane Calhoun come back anyways.
Yeah, I think you kind of look at the slot position with Jalen moving there, and I think you ideally want that slot guy to be the possession receiver. And I think with Shane Calhoun and Jalen Johnson, you kind of like those options. And we know with Mason Garcia, if he's going to end up being the starter, he's got a huge arm, so adding a guy like Marion makes sense, along with Josiah Hatfield. Alex Flynn showed in the spring game he can push the ball down the field. He hit a big play to Josiah Hatfield as well. So I think this is the first of 2 receiver additions via the transfer portal, at least during this cycle. They also had a visit from Colorado transfer Chase Soule over the weekend. He is visiting BYU this week, so look for him to make a decision. He's more of a bigger 6'3" guy who actually has 4 years of eligibility remaining. Really talented guy from Colorado. And so they're looking at him, they're looking at a few other receivers. I would still expect ECU to potentially add another wideout. They actually have 2 scholarships there. Mike Houston said it a few weeks ago on our inaugural Hoist the Colours program. But as you look at this thing right now, I believe that is 13 or 14 transfer commitments. Here, I'll pull up the numbers here on 24/7 Sports. Yeah, 14 commitments via the transfer portal. We talked about Dustin Hall, the offensive lineman, last week. Here and they may add another DB here soon, who's expected to announce. I really think you're getting to the point, Philip, where your roster it's looking pretty complete. I think if you can add another receiver, I've heard they may try and add a punter. But outside of that, this team is starting to kind of take its form. What do you think on the surface? I know there's still a lot of unknowns, but do you feel like it's been a pretty productive offseason in terms of replacing some key guys?
No, I think it has. It's one of those things where because we talked about it, I think, with basketball the other day about you almost have to revamp your roster every year. Maybe not quite to the extent in football, just because there's 85 guys, only so many can leave, only so many can you can bring in. But overall, on paper, it looks good. But these guys, a lot of them haven't played together before, and obviously they have not played in a game together before. So I guess only time will tell, and there are 12 specific days this fall that I think will tell a lot of that. But, on paper, I'm with you. I think that it looks as good as it can, given the circumstances, the fact that we lost as many guys as we did. But we'll see how everybody meshes.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, especially on offense, and certainly they brought in new defensive pieces as well via the portal. But I feel good about the defensive line there, what's returning there, and then I look at the offense, and we talked about the offensive staff. Donnie Kirkpatrick remains in place, but Raekwon Boyette goes from receivers coach to running backs coach because, of course, Chris Foster went to Northwestern. You have a new tight ends coach in Aaron Orr as Latrell Scott went to Maryland. So basically almost the entire offensive staff has changed. Steve Shankweiler steps back from coaching. Alan Mogridge takes over as the O-line coach. So a lot of changes on the offensive staff. And then a new addition was added yesterday, or announced yesterday. This, I think, was done about a week ago or so, or in the process of being done. Shane Montgomery has been named to the offensive staff as an offensive analyst, per an announcement from Mike Houston on Tuesday. He brings 32 years of Division I coaching experience, including 4 years as an FBS head coach and 16 years as an offensive coordinator at both the FCS and FBS levels. He was most recently the OC quarterback coach at Buffalo the last 2 seasons. So, look, these analyst positions are interesting to me, Philip, because you can kind of pick and choose. Hey, do you want a younger guy to kind of do some different things? Or do you want to bring in a veteran coach to maybe help out what's looking like a younger offensive staff under Kirkpatrick? So I see this as a home run hire because obviously Kirkpatrick has done a solid job with the offense, but now you even add another guy with quarterback experience as you're bringing in, a new starting quarterback, and you're adding a little bit more to your offensive medium room because this guy's been around and done things at a pretty high level.
And a lot of offensive analysts, or analysts, whether it be offense or defense, this day and time do seem to be younger guys. Yep. And I think having that 32 years of experience, especially with, like you mentioned, a much younger staff, it's good to have a second older face in the room, a second experienced guy next to Donnie K. Obviously, I don't have exactly how many years Coach Kirkpatrick have been players, but obviously, a lot. So to have the two guys at the helm really able to mentor these young coaches, these new coaches, and you need chemistry with these coaches as well. And when you've got a guy who's been around as long as he has, who played FBS quarterback at a Power 5 program, who has been a head coach, who has been around the game as long as he will ultimately be a huge gel guy, I think, for the staff.
I think for me, Mike Houston, look, they've lost coaches during his 5-year tenure thus far, but it seems like every hire he makes is a quality one. He's got great connections. He's built a strong foundation here. Guys want to come on this staff, and we're seeing that, whether it's an analyst role, whether it's an assistant role, so he continues to hire strong. And we're going to try and get a few of those new guys, maybe Coach Roberts, the new receivers coach, Darrell Roberts, along with Alan Mogridge on the show in the coming weeks as well. They're out recruiting right now, which we're following on hoistthecolors.net as well. So I wanted to get some football talk, specifically ECU football, at the top of the show. We're going to talk a lot of baseball later on as well. Let's switch gears, Philip. Let's talk some NFL. By the way, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube watching, and you do have a question, it can be NFL, it can be ECU, whatever. Drop it in. We'll address it on the show. If you want to call in and talk about the new commitment or recruiting or anything, 252-561-8255. Again, anything ECU related, we'll tackle. We're talking to Steve Beuerlein around 12:30. So obviously we can't talk then, but if you want to talk in the next few minutes, 252-561-8255, or any comments on our social media pages. Let's talk some NFL, Philip. We're big NFL guys. So,
of course,
this is an ECU show, but look, it's May 10th. We can only talk so much ECU. We got ECU baseball coming up later. We're going to talk to Steve Beuerlein, who was in the league for a long time. We'll get his take as well. But some big scheduling news dropping today. Now, all right, let me ask you this, Philip. The schedule releases May 11th as far as the entire schedule.
Yep.
And, it's almost become – the NFL is such a machine. The NFL has become, this just incredible everything is appointment TV. Is the schedule release, is that appointment TV for Phillip?
Yeah, I've always been huge on the schedule release, and I think it may be growing up in a city where I was close to a team,
right.
And and the fact that I was fortunate enough to go to as many games as I did when I was younger. But no, I love it. I want to know when my team's playing in prime time. I want to know how bad the Thursday night matchups are and how much I'm going to have to hate watching football every Thursday night. But no, I love the schedule release, especially always interesting to see who the Lions are going to play and who the Cowboys are going to play on Thanksgiving, as well as the international games, because I love getting up at 9:30 and watching football all day, and they actually released the international games today.
So any appetizing matchups on the international games? I think you have it pulled up in front of you, and for me, I almost forget they're on half the time outside of fantasy football.
Yeah.
Because I have to set my lineup, or I miss a start here or there. But any ones that look pretty good on paper?
So the biggest one I like, they have the 3 London games first. We got Jacksonville, Atlanta, Buffalo, Jacksonville, and Baltimore and Tennessee. I like the Buffalo, Jacksonville. Jaguars won the South last year. Their offense is coming in. They still got some holes on defense, but hey, that's the same style as the Buffalo Bills. That can be a very high-scoring game for the fans in London.
A couple of ECU ties there, right? Zay Jones.
There you go.
With the Jaguars, and you said the Ravens.
Yeah,
as well.
Ravens Titans. So hopefully we'd see Keaton Mitchell over across the pond, as they would say over in England.
I wonder if they take, and you may or may not know this, but do they take the practice squad overseas? I would think. Because you got to have the practice leading into the game, I would think they almost do take the entire team along with the practice squad. But even if Keaton if he doesn't make the 53, if he makes the practice squad, that could be a good experience for him. So, look, I'm a Denver Broncos fan. You're a Carolina Panthers fan. It just so happens we'll be talking to Steve Beuerlein, who played for both those teams. Maybe that's why I'm having him on the show.
Probably.
But, it's I don't know, man. With the Broncos, they've been so bad the past few years. Since their Super Bowl, they have not made the playoffs, and it's been sad. So, back when Denver was really good, Peyton Manning, obviously, NFL schedule release for me, it was man, I have to know the second it comes out. I'm checking Twitter for leaks all day long.
That's how I am.
And now, maybe it's just because Denver's so bad and I have no expectations. God bless Russell Wilson. But I don't know. I'm not as excited. I'll check it probably online. I won't watch the TV program. But so you're the guy who's checking for leaks all day?
Oh, yeah. I want to know all day long. And I can understand that, because now it does kind of come to the point. It's which team gets to kick the Panthers' butt week 1? Which team gets to do it week 2? So it's not as fun as it used to be, because obviously back when you guys were good, it's about the last time we were good.
Yeah.
We were one of those 3 straight division titles while you guys were making 2 Super Bowls there in a span of 3 years. So maybe it's not, but I am always intrigued to see, like I said, games that don't always affect my team, primetime games such as the Christmas Day game, which got released today, which is going to be Giants-Eagles. And I like that. They put up 2 good fights last year against each other. I think it's going to be a good one.
That should be a good one. And so, all right, so how many primetime games do you forecast for the Panthers? How many did they have last year?
I think we've had 1 each of the last 3 years. I think they play the Texans this year. So I think the fact that it's going to be the crappy
the Thursday night
before. Oh no, Prime Video starts right at the beginning. I was about to say, used to have 2 weeks of NFL Network before Fox took over, but no, it's going to be some crappy Thursday night game. C.J. Stroud against Bryce Young. There you go. That is the Panthers' 1 primetime game.
Maybe the Bryce Young factor gets some more, but I think Denver had 5 or 6 last year. There's no way.
Yeah, come on.
No more
you guys
Denver
are
in
the
prime
Cowboys.
time.
You can stink and get. I remember one year the Cowboys won 5 games and had 6 primetime games the next year. It's you have more primetime games than how many games you won last year. What the heck?
I think a lot of it was the Russell Wilson factor, and now that that's dampered quite a bit, I think maybe they'll have 2, just because Denver is a pretty national fan base.
It is.
But I vote for no primetime games if it's going to be like last year. But
I don't think the Panthers probably should be getting many,
right.
But I think they'll get one. Yeah, you guys probably get 2. You guys always seem to have at least 1 night game against an in-division opponent, whether it be the Raiders or the Chargers.
Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs.
Yeah.
And even that first Monday night, they like to stick the AFC West or the NFC West as the second game.
Exactly.
So I could see that. But all right, we'll have more NFL talk a little bit later. Again, we'll visit with Steve Beuerlein around 12:30. Let's take our first break right now. On the other side, we'll talk some East Carolina baseball. Big game at 3 o'clock today against the Old Dominion Monarchs. We'll talk about how important that one is. We'll also talk about ECU being back in the hosting mix. I think Baseball America has dropped its new projection, so we'll discuss that as well. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
It's game day, Pirate Nation, as East Carolina gets set to travel up to Norfolk to take on ODU.
This is the Pirate Report on 94.3 The Game. Sponsored by the IBX Pirate Partners, Moore's Old Time Barbecue Chicken and Seafood, Fantastic Sam's Cut and Color, and Carib Sea and Emerald Isle.
Pirate baseball swept Cincinnati this weekend, and big thanks to the bullpen. And with it being a midweek competition this afternoon, it will be another bullpen day. Coach Godwin talked to Patrick Johnson on Monday and talked about what we should expect from his staff in today's contest.
Yeah, a lot of guys will throw for sure, and we're not exactly sure who's going to start the game, but it'll be a bullpen day for us, and we'll go matchups and try to, mix and match best we can. And, we'll need to play our best brand of baseball because the Old Dominion is very good.
Old Dominion is very good. They currently sit at 30-17. They have won 18 of 27 home games, and they currently have a top 70 RPI rating. The Pirates and Monarchs did meet back on April 11th right here in Greenville, and it was a 7-3 victory for the Monarchs. So hopefully the Pirates can avenge that loss today. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Pirate Report. I'm Philip Pilkington.
Inner Banks Media's Concert on the Common is back. Are you ready? Make some noise. 1, 2, 3.
Enjoy live music with your friends and family, along with adult beverages and great food on Greenville's Town Common.
The next band to hit the stage at the Greenville Toyota Amphitheater is On the Border, the Ultimate Eagles tribute, May 11th.
This year will also feature music from Beach Music Legends, The Band of Oz, Landslide, a tribute to Fleetwood Mac, the Legacy Motown Review, The Embers featuring Craig Woolard, and the Leonard Skinner Tribute Band, Tuesday's Gone.
Details at concertonthecommon.org.
Special thanks to the City of Greenville and the Junior League of Greenville.
Concert on the Common is sponsored by ECU Health, Michelob Ultra, Pitt Greenville Airport, Greenville Toyota, The Air Doctor, Greenville Utilities, Sir Richie Law Firm, Sawyer's Fun Park, Polly Pylan State Farm Insurance, Eastern Plumbing, Town Bank, Specialty FDR, Optimum, Wells Roofing and Gutters,
and Inner Banks Media.
Chico's Mexican Restaurant is where the fiesta never ends. Grab your amigos and head to Chico's every Wednesday for shrimp tacos for $11.99. Plus Wednesdays means all Mexican imports for just $2.99. Thursdays, enjoy your favorite beef, chicken, or vegetable fajitas for only $11.99. For Mexican food and fun, it's got to be Chico's Mexican Restaurant in downtown Greenville and online at chicosrestaurant.com. Chico's, where the fiesta never ends.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo.
Drink up me hearty yo-ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into Hoist the Colors. Stephen Igo here, host of the show, joined by Philip Pilkington in studio. Set to visit with Steve Beuerlein here in the next 10-15 minutes or so. We'll give him a call after this segment. Let's talk some Pirate baseball. In the meantime, we just talked ECU football and a little NFL. But big baseball game today at 3 o'clock. Of course, the game was scheduled originally for Tuesday night in the minor league park up in Norfolk. That was rescheduled due to some travel problems for ODU, also some potential inclement weather. This will be the second matchup between ECU and ODU this season. The Pirates previously, before the last game, which they won 7-3, had gone a couple years without a victory over the Monarchs in baseball. But they won that game back on April 11th, 7-3 inside of Clark LeClaire Stadium. But this is a big one tonight. Obviously, every game is important this time of year. But when you're looking at ECU's future prospects, and we'll get into kind of the hosting discussion here in a second, ECU 23 in the RPI, ODU sitting at 68. So this is a top 100 team. You're on the road. Philip and I were talking in the break. If you win this game, you could potentially leap into the top 20 in the RPI, which is probably, in ECU's case, the bare minimum of where they need to be to really be in the hosting mix. You're not going to have a chance to really improve your RPI setting this weekend against Memphis, which is a lower RPI team. So this is a big game tonight, Philip, just obviously for momentum, but also for the resume.
Yeah, and, you mentioned the momentum side of things. You just finally took 3 games on the road. You finally proved to yourself that you can play on the road. So I think this speaks a lot about their confidence level. But, yeah, I mean, look, hosting is not off the table. I think a national seed is, but if you lose this one, is it maybe safe to say? I don't know. Hosting is, and it's not that I think this game hurts you that much. It's just the help that you need to become a host. I mean, this is the best road game we have the rest of the year because I don't know what South Florida's RPI is, but I can guarantee you it ain't 68.
Yeah, it's I think in the mid 100s, I believe. So I'm trying to scroll through and see here. It's not good. Yeah, 176.
Yeah, so winning there is not going to help you a whole heck of a lot. The good thing is you play them 3 times, but it's still not going to help you a lot.
So, I don't think losing tonight takes it off the table, but it definitely leaves almost zero margin for error going forward. So, like, if you win tonight, then maybe you don't have to win basically every single game remaining in the regular season, whereas, I think you got to go 6-2, 7-1 at least to put yourself in the conversation. You lose tonight right out of the gate in this 8-game stretch to finish the regular season. It's going to be tough. Let's look at this matchup, Philip. Garrett Saylor will start for East Carolina. He threw a couple of innings on Sunday at Cincinnati. He also threw against North Carolina quite a bit last Wednesday. The good news is he's had 2 days rest, but I think it's going to be a true staff day when you look at this matchup. And, something that stuck out to me looking at the previous game is Danny Bill was dominant against ODU. 5 innings. I think he gave up 1 run, but struck out 9. I would expect to see Danny Bill at some point out of the bullpen, but it's going to be a staff day for both teams.
It is. And one of the benefits to the staff day, we mentioned this on Thursday, that Garrett Saylor, when he comes out, or the pen, or he starts, but it's a staff day, we see him use more of a variety of his pitches, or I guess it's more of an Austin Knight thing, but he allows Garrett to throw more variety of his pitches, and he really went at hitters a lot last week against Carolina. I think he's going to be able to do that tonight and set the tone for the game. So I really like the staff day in this situation. Like you mentioned, 49 pitches just on Sunday, so only 2 days of rest. So probably will not see as many innings as we did against North Carolina when he threw 4 innings and 66 pitches. But if he can go out there and get you 2 innings, say, and attack guys, get a couple strikeouts, get this team who hits a lot of home runs kind of feeling bad about themselves after swinging and missing a few times, could really play into the Pirates' hands.
This ODU, these numbers, man, this ODU offense are just – it's insane. 297 as a team, which is a good batting average, but they've hit 91 home runs. They got 4 guys with double-digit home runs, and they got 1 guy, Hunter Fitzgerald, who's hit 21 home runs, which is hard to fathom. I know the ball is carrying a little bit further this year in college baseball, but he hit one, I think, against ECU in the home game that maybe cleared the batter's eye or at least hit the very top of it. I think he had the only run off Danny Bill. So
yeah, he had the only home run of the game. It was amazing. We held him to 1 home run that game. We actually, we had 2 and they had 1. That's big for us. No wonder we won the game. But yeah, I think it did clear the batter's eye.
Yeah, that dude has some power. I mean, you don't hit 21 home runs. I mean, kind of interesting that he's got 11 doubles, 21 home runs. So if he squares it up, it's leaving the ballpark. Alex Boucher has 11. Jake Tyser has hit 16, and Camden Grimes has hit 11. So you got guys who can take it out of the yard at any moment. Again, almost with a team OPS of 1,000, they're at 9.42. The good news is, Philip, pitching-wise, they're not great. So you're going to have to score some runs tonight more than likely. They've got a team ERA of 4.99, so sitting at almost 5. 272 batting average against, which, like we were talking about off the air, isn't terrible, but not great either. I think ECU's pitching staff is around 230, which is a much better number. And also, their starter tonight, Vincent Bashara, has a 6.5 ERA. He's a junior. He's started 4 games this year, only 20 strikeouts and 6 walks in 27 innings. So he's going to be a guy that throws strikes, but opponents are hitting 295 against him. So, again, a guy – it's probably going to be a staff day for ODU, staff day for ECU. I'm expecting a lot of runs tonight.
I am too. And another thing I'm seeing here at ODU, their fielding percentage a little better than what we saw in the Bearcats over the weekend, but not nearly as good as the Pirates. Their fielding percentage is only .967. They have 2 everyday starters with double-digit errors. So putting the ball in play is probably going to be a little easier against a team like this. We mentioned they don't have a great ERA. And then when you do put the ball in play, hopefully they might give you a couple extra ones tonight.
ODU coming in at 30-17. They're 18-9 at home. They won a series at Arkansas State over the weekend. They're 13-11 and a very good Sun Belt conference in baseball. So definitely a multi-bid league, it looks like, as of right now. And then also the new projections are out, Philip, and we'll talk about this before we take our quick break. But East Carolina, according to Baseball America, we're still waiting on the D1 baseball projections that come out basically every Wednesday at this point in the season. Baseball America has the Pirates as a 2 seed at South Carolina in the Columbia, South Carolina region, which is the number 7 national seed. They have Washington. They have the Washington Huskies traveling to South Carolina as well as the 3 seed. That would
long flight.
That would be quite the matchup. In Air Force as the 4. So again, who knows what this really means, other than this kind of gives you a glimpse of where ECU kind of sits on the pecking order right now. RPI of 22. They're just outside that hosting range, I think, which is what makes games like tonight so important. But that would be a tough regional draw going to South Carolina.
It would. I mean, you're facing an Air Force team who is here. I believe they came in 2018, so I don't know if we have any familiar faces on that team that we've seen. But I know the Mountain West is not the level of conference in baseball they maybe are in some other sports, but it's still a Group of 5 conference, which I guess we'll get into that Power 5, Group of 5 thing here in a second. But, no, definitely a tough region. I mean, South Carolina, are they not only a good team, a good enough team to host? If you look at the teams that they play day in and day out, I mean, they are used to extremely good competition. I've heard a lot of people saying that they think South Carolina could be the team to beat, as long with Florida as, we've all been hearing the number 1 seed is cursed. So everybody, I guess, is already counting out LSU. But as the number 1 seed hadn't been to Omaha, and I can't remember how many years now. But a lot of people
99.
A lot of people are high on South Carolina to win the whole thing. So definitely would be a tough draw for the Pirates.
Yeah, and that atmosphere is tough, especially in the postseason. It would just be a tough place to go play. You look at some of the other regional competition. Wake Forest projected to host. They're actually projected to be the number 1 overall seed as of right now after LSU dropped a series this past weekend. We'll see how that transpires going forward. Duke scheduled to host as the 6th seed. Coastal Carolina, Virginia currently scheduled. West Virginia, Clemson. I shouldn't say scheduled, but projected to host as far as right now. So you got a lot of teams in the region. I think South Carolina and Wake would be the 2 I'd want to avoid. But again, maybe the Pirates can play their way back into a hosting mix as well. All right, let's take another break. On the other side, we'll try and catch up with Steve Beuerlein, the former Carolina Panthers quarterback, current NFL analyst for CBS Sports, longtime NFL quarterback. We'll talk draft. Maybe we'll find an ECU connection or two as well. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's Kids Night at Moore's Barbecue. Let us take care of dinner tonight for your little ones. Every Wednesday night, kids 10 and under eat free with the purchase of an adult meal. So come into one of our 5 locations in Winterville, New Bern, Morehead City, Swansboro, and Jacksonville. Bring the whole family. There's always enough great food for everyone. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Greeting friends of Eastern North Carolina. If you're looking for a great place to work with competitive pay and a multitude of advanced opportunities, Pitt County Schools is hiring. We employ over 3,500 people, and we're one of the largest employers in Pitt County. We are currently seeking teachers, bus drivers, school nutrition personnel, facilities staff, custodians, clerical staff, and more. We offer advanced leadership opportunities to our educators and competitive pay for our skilled labor force. If you want to be part of a thriving school system that focuses on educating students, growing our employees, and promoting positive mental and physical health habits, we encourage you to become a part of our Pitt County Schools family to help ensure success for the future of Eastern North Carolina. To fill out an application, visit our website today at pittschools.org. That's pittschools.org. And remember, education is truly a team effort. Pitt County Schools. Live and lead.
Inner Banks Media's Concert on the Common is back.
Are you ready? Make some noise. 1, 2, 3. Enjoy live music with your friends and family, along with adult beverages and great food on Greenville's Town Common.
The next band to hit the stage at the Greenville Toyota Amphitheater is On the Border, the Ultimate Eagles tribute, May 11th.
This year will also feature music from Beach Music Legends, The Band of Oz, Landslide, a tribute to Fleetwood Mac, the Legacy Motown Review, The Embers featuring Craig Woolard, and the Leonard Skinner Tribute Band, Tuesday is Gone.
Details at concertonthecommon.org.
Special thanks to the City of Greenville and the Junior League of Greenville.
Concert on the Common is sponsored by ECU Health, Michelob Ultra, Pitt Greenville Airport, Greenville Toyota, The Air Doctor, Greenville Utilities, Sir Richie Law Firm, Sawyer's Fun Park, Poly Pylan State Farm Insurance, Eastern Plumbing, Town Bank, Specialty FDR, Optimum, Wells Roofing and Gutters,
and Inner Banks Media.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo. How good is this on 94.3 The Game?
All right, welcome back into the program. Stephen Igo here, Philip Pilkington in studio as well. We talked some NFL earlier. We're going to talk it now as well as we head out to the live line. Welcome in our guest. He is former Carolina Panthers longtime NFL quarterback, current CBS Sports NFL analyst. He's Steve Beuerlein. Steve, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you very much. Glad to be on the show, guys.
Absolutely. Steve, all right, so we're going to talk NFL, but this is kind of an East Carolina-centric show, so I want to ask you if you got any good Skip Holtz stories for us, because I believe you were teammates with him for at least 1 year at Notre Dame. He, of course, was the East Carolina head coach here, won a couple of conference championships, so we'll lead with that. You got any good Skip Holtz stories you can tell us?
I got a bunch. This is actually a first, believe it or not. I've not been asked to talk much about Skip Holtz in the past. I've been asked to talk a lot about his father, the legendary Lou Holtz, who was my coach for 1 year at Notre Dame. And ironically, that was the 1 year that Skip came out to play football at Notre Dame. And so, you know, obviously there was always a little bit of the nepotism argument that followed Skip around. He was a student at Notre Dame, and you know, he never came out for the football team prior to his dad's arrival. And then when he came out, he wanted to be a quarterback, and he went over initially to kind of work out with the quarterbacks. And Lou came over to our group, and there was probably, I don't know, at that time there was probably, 8 to 10 quarterbacks that were out there, including scholarship guys and some walk-on guys, and Skip was right in there. And Lou came over and said something along the lines of, son, you have to realize I've seen you throw your whole life, and I understand and I know that you are not a quarterback, but you need to get over in the receiver's line. So he didn't even get a chance to throw a pass. He was immediately moved to receiver. And, you know, he obviously did not play at any point during that season, except he did earn his way onto a couple of special teams. And, you know, was a competitor. And it ruffled a few feathers, you know, because when you got the coach's son who just kind of walked on and all of a sudden he's starting, there's a lot of scholarship players that never really got a chance to be a big part of things, whether it was offense, defense, or special teams, and all of a sudden Skip's out there. But he played hard, and he ended up making some plays. The most famous one that you may have heard of at some point was he almost cost us the last game of that 1986 season. We were playing out at the Coliseum in L.A. against the USC Trojans, and we were mounting a huge comeback, and the only thing that could hurt us at that point in the game, there was about a minute or maybe about 7 or 8 minutes left in the game. And Skip somehow broke through on the punt team and had a chance to block the punt. And he missed the punt, and or he missed the block, but he absolutely just ran right into the kicker and got called for roughing the kicker. And we thought that might have cost us the game at that point. Fortunately, it didn't, but we came back and won. But Lou's comment after the game was that he now understands why certain animals devour their young, and so he said that he had thought, you know, maybe ending Skip's short life at that point. But fortunately, we came back to win the game, and a lot of great stories with Skip over the years. I've gotten to know him even better over the last several years, and great person and a great coach.
We're visiting with Steve Beuerlein. Great stuff there about the former East Carolina coach, Skip Holtz. Steve, we're going to talk about your NFL career, specifically your time with the Panthers. Obviously, you're an analyst now. A ton of Panther fans around here. Let's start first with this current Panthers team. They picked Bryce Young first overall in the 2023 NFL Draft. From your perspective, do you feel like that was the right pick?
I think from a lot of perspectives, it was the right pick. There are questions, I think, about each of these guys coming out this year. I don't think there's one quarterback that stood out to me, which is why there was so much discussion about who that first pick was going to be. But, the only question that I really have about Bryce Young is his size. And, 5'10", about 185, 190 pounds. That to me is a question mark, and I've had questions about some other smaller quarterbacks in recent years that have, come to fruition from a durability standpoint. When you talk about Kyler Murray and what he's going through right now, obviously the knee injury, that could happen to anybody, but his size is always going to be a question mark until he proves that he can do it consistently and win big games. With Tua Tagovailoa this past year, obviously the durability was a huge issue, and it's really the only question about him moving forward with the progress that he made as a quarterback down in Miami this year. But the durability that comes into play. And with Bryce Young, I think he all around was probably the most polished, most NFL-ready quarterback in the group. Playing that system down in Alabama, it is very similar to an NFL-style offense. He's very comfortable in the pocket, can make all the throws. He's got good enough arm strength. I don't think he has great arm strength, but he's got good enough arm strength, can make all the throws, knows how to get through his progressions and his reads. He won't be rattled because he's played in a lot of big games. I think he enjoys the spotlight. So all those things, I think he's going to be just fine. The question is going to be whether over the course of a 17-game season and hopefully further, if his body can hold up and he can be playing at his best at the end of the season. And the only way we're going to find that out is if he gets to that point. So I'm really excited about him. I think he's a great talent. I think he'll do really well if he can stay healthy.
Steve, Philip Pilkington here. Thank you for joining us on the show. Lifelong Panthers fan, and I cannot remember a time that the Panthers brought in as many weapons, especially for a new quarterback, as they have this year. Just kind of what are your thoughts on the additions of DJ Chark and Hayden Hurst? And do you remember a time that this franchise has brought in this many offseason weapons, really, other than, I guess, bringing in Greg Olsen the one time they brought him in and when they brought Musa Muhammad back from Chicago?
Well, I think you're seeing a really concerted effort from ownership, and it's been made very clear over the last couple of years that this owner wants to win and wants to do whatever it's going to take to win. Obviously, doing things the right way, but everything is about putting a great product on the field that the Carolinas can be proud of. And I think this is a year where he came out and said, we are going to do whatever we can do to provide the support a young quarterback needs, and really impressed with a lot of the moves. Like you said, DJ Chark is a guy that I think is at the point in his career where he wants to be that guy and establish himself as a true number one, if not a number one, one of the very best number two receivers in the NFL. And you mentioned Hurst also. There's a lot of people that think he's going to be a breakout kind of guy this year as well. But I think in general the mentality is really what's most important, and I think the players understand very clearly. And especially, it might sound a little bit kind of opposite of what the average fan might look at it, but when you trade away a player like Christian McCaffrey, who's arguably the best running back in the NFL, you trade him away last year. A lot of people look at that maybe as throwing in the towel, but I think the Panthers looked at it as building for the future and really trying to make the most immediate impact and using the value that they got for Christian McCaffrey and draft choices and going out and spending money in free agency because of the cap space that was created by getting McCaffrey off the payroll. I think the decisions are all very sound, and as a young quarterback, Bryce Young should be very excited about the mentality as well as the weapons that he's going to be provided with there.
We're visiting with Steve Beuerlein, who spent several years in the NFL from 1987 through 2003 with the Raiders, Cowboys, Cardinals, Jaguars, Broncos, and, of course, the Carolina Panthers from 96 to 2000. He still, to this day, holds the record for most passing yards in a season in 1999. Steve, what do you remember the most about your time with the Panthers, specifically that 99 season, and kind of, you really did build an identity here, I think, in the Carolinas, especially in the Charlotte area. People still resonate with the name Steve Beuerlein today. So what do you remember about your time the most with the Panthers?
Well, I remember so many things. I really identify most with the Carolina Panthers throughout the course of my career. I played with 6 different teams, but my years in Carolina, even though it ended on a sour note with George Seifert releasing me for salary cap reasons after the 2000 season, I loved wearing that uniform. I loved playing in that stadium. I loved living in Charlotte. The people were so receptive and gracious to me and really embraced me. And I think what they respected out of us during that time more than anything, I think they knew we were a little bit shorthanded. We didn't have the weapons maybe across the board, or maybe the depth up front, the quality of players to really compete for a championship at that time. But we were right there on the cusp of making the playoffs each year, always one game out, or at most 2. I think we were one the 2 full years that I was the starter, and we just competed. We fought our guts out, and I know during my time there, I did not miss a snap during the course of the 2.5 years that I was a starter after Kerry Collins walked away, and had a lot of injuries, a lot of surgeries after the seasons were over. But I think that was the mentality of our team. We scratched and clawed and fought and competed our guts out against everybody every single week. And when we came off that field, we always knew that we had left it out there. And I was very proud of that. And I was very proud of my teammates. And, we had some great highs, the best being the last play of the game, 1999 versus the Packers at Lambeau Field, where I was able to take it in on the quarterback draw to everybody's surprise, and ended the game on that note. That was truly the highlight of my NFL career, and I think one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Panthers highlight to that point in the history of the Panthers. So a lot to be proud of, a lot of great memories. I wish it didn't end the way that it did, but I love the Carolina Panthers, and I love Charlotte.
I know you're originally from California, and you're still doing some work as an analyst. Have you had the chance to come back to Charlotte to call any games recently, or just to visit the area, or do you try to get back here much at all?
Well, I was really flattered last year for the New England game. I was invited back by David Monroe, who has been with the Panthers now for, going back to almost the very beginning, if not the beginning. He runs alumni relations and here historical archive guy for the Panthers, and he reached out to me and invited me to come out and be the former Panther Player of the Week, or featured Panther Player of the Week. I don't know what they call it out there, but I was able to bring my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter at the time, out there for the Patriots game, and was recognized at the end of the third quarter with a really nice video montage, and the fans were so good to me. And that was the most recent time I've been out there. It was very, very humbling to be received the way that I was. And I can tell you this, I haven't been back as much as I would like over the last several years, but as my youngest goes off to college after next year, I am planning on spending a lot more time in Carolina. And I still have a golf membership out there at Longview Country Club, and I plan on putting that thing to good use moving forward, because I have not put it to good use up to this point, and I'm looking forward to those days coming up.
He is Steve Beuerlein, former Carolina Panthers quarterback, current NFL analyst. Steve, we appreciate the time on today's program. We'll be watching you on CBS, checking out your work as well on CBS Sports Network, and appreciate the insight. I know a lot of Carolina Panther fans around here really appreciate your time in Charlotte, so thanks so much for joining us, taking some time out of your day.
You got it. And feel free to give me a call anytime we can get more into the weeds with the Panthers as they move forward. But I'm excited about this team and looking forward to big things this year. Go Panthers.
Absolutely. That is Steve Beuerlein. As we get more into NFL season, maybe we can visit again with Steve and talk about the Panthers, the Bryce Young-led Panthers soon enough. All right, back in studio with Philip Pilkington, and we're going to take our final break. On the other side, we'll maybe talk some more NFL. We also got to talk about Mike Aresco once again calling out the Power Five versus the Group of Five. We'll get into that discussion. We could do a whole show on that alone. We'll touch briefly on it next before we wrap up the program. You're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Do you ever talk to yourself about where to eat today, and then you hear
Warren's Hot Dogs?
Then you're thinking, yeah, 2 hot dogs, chips, and a drink for only $6.25 would be awesome.
Warren's Hot Dogs.
And maybe some homemade lemonade, perhaps a pizza or a sub, and definitely an apple or peach turnover.
Warren's Hot Dogs.
Don't overthink where to eat today. Go to Warren's Hot Dogs in Greenville across from Ron Ayers, or in Chocowinity next to the fire station. Warren's Hot Dogs, serving the Pirate Nation since 1991. Go Pirates!
Greenville's premier Uptown Concert Series returns.
Concert on the Comet.
This year's acts include Landslide, a tribute to Fleetwood Mac, June 8th.
For more details and a full lineup of bands, go to concertonthecommon.org.
Greenville's premier Uptown Concert Series returns.
Concert on the Comet.
This year's acts include The Legacy Motown Review, June 22nd.
For more details and a full lineup of bands, go to concertonthecommon.org.
Before your next fishing trip, head to Greenville Marine Outdoor Shop, just outside of Greenville on Marine Drive. Greenville Marine Outdoor Shop has one of the largest inventories of rods, reels, and fishing tackle in the area, plus accessories and equipment to help make your day on the water a success. Whether you need hunting, fishing, clothing, or other supplies, make Greenville Marine Outdoor Shop your one-stop destination. Greenville Marine Outdoor Shop, open Monday through Friday till 5:30 and Saturday to 12:30.
Live life to the fullest. You hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain, right? Patrick Johnson here, QC Kinetics, in the business of giving people back their quality of life and providing much-needed relief for chronic joint pain. And it's not just providing that relief, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, using regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. Where is your joint pain? In your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Well, QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them the most. And best of all, you walk into the office and walk right out after treatment. There's no surgery, no downtime, and patients are raving about the results. So what does living life to the fullest look like for you? Finally being able to play golf, hike, walk your dog, enjoy time with your family. Get started today with a call to QC Kinetics for your complimentary consultation. 252-765-PAIN. That's 252-765-PAIN.
Need $1,000 to $10,000 immediately for a gift for someone special, car repairs, or unexpected expenses? Time Financing Service offers competitive loan rates. Apply online and get your answer in less than an hour in most cases. Then you can pick up the cash at any of our 24 convenient locations. Apply online 24/7 at timefinancing.com. That's timefinancing.com.
All loans subject to current credit policy of Time Financing Service. 1 hour loan approval and same-day cash in most circumstances. Exceptions may apply.
What's happening?
Tell me what's happening.
Every ECU fan's one stop for all things ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into the program. Fun edition of Hoist the Colors. We just visited with Steve Beuerlein, former Carolina Panthers quarterback, longtime NFL quarterback, now an analyst. And so we were talking. So you were born in 98, Philip, so you don't probably remember any of Steve Beuerlein and the Panthers because he played till 2000. So I'm going to guess 2-year-old Philip didn't realize what's going on out there. But have you heard, growing up with other Panther fans, any stories? And we were talking, like I wasn't a Panthers fan, but I remember watching that 99 game at Green Bay, and I just remember Carolina scoring on the last play of the game, thinking how cool it was the way they won in the venue they won with Beuerlein's quarterback draw. But pretty cool visit with maybe not Panthers legend, but definitely a guy that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. What I kind of remember about him is obviously I first remember him being a backup for you guys to Jake Plummer.
Yeah.
But what I remember being told about Beuerlein was just the fact that he was the gritty player that, he kind of talked about the mindset of the team back then. And what I viewed the franchise as back in the Jake Delhomme era, my grandparents especially, I remember them always telling me, like, Beuerlein kind of set that tone, set that you don't have to be the best quarterback, but you got to be the toughest. You got to want to win. And they always spoke very highly of Steve, and so that's kind of what I remember. But, yeah, I don't actually remember him on the field, except for the famous picture from the Green Bay game, him laying on the ground on his side, his arms in the air.
And you got to respect a guy who stuck around in the league for as long as he did, and you looked through some of his profile, like he had to deal with a lot of adversity. So, like, I feel like any opinion or take he has on the game today holds a lot of weight because I feel like he's kind of been through it. He's seen every angle, backup, starter, expansion team basically with the Panthers. He also played for the Jaguars, so it's like he's kind of been through it all, man. I mean, obviously backing up Aikman with Dallas, so just a really cool guest. And, yeah, we'll try and get him back on definitely come NFL season. Clearly we'll be talking a lot of East Carolina football throughout the Hoist the Colours program, but anytime you have a chance to get a guy like Steve Beuerlein, you gotta take advantage of it. And a lot of Panther fans listen as well. All right, a few minutes left on the program. So yesterday, and Mike Oresco, the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, which of course is the league East Carolina is in, he's been on this for a while, and he released this. He put in a statement yesterday, which you can go read it online. I mean, if I read it right now, it would take an hour. But he is again making the argument that the term Power 5, which is not even an official term, was indeed media created to recognize the ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12, etc., over the Group of Five, which is also a made-up term. He's saying that needs to be essentially abolished. Have we reached the point where that's even possible? Or, I appreciate Mike Oresco for doing this, and we could, again, have a long discussion on it, Philip, but it just seems like I just don't know what good this does at the end of the day. I don't know.
Yeah, I think was it 2001, I believe, when the BCS started?
Yeah,
that kind of set the standard. And is it necessarily something the media came up with? No, I think it's the people who are making money off this, the College Football Playoff Committee and all them that came up with it. Yeah, ESPN. But, I think it's long gone. When the BCS started, that set the standard. That is the standard. It's unfortunate. Like I said, we get into our thoughts on it, but we don't have the time. But, no, I think it's done.
He does make the very fair argument that right now there's a bigger divide. Like, if you look at the SEC and the Big Ten, those are the clear two top leagues.
For sure.
And, after that, there's a gigantic drop-off. So why should the ACC, Pac-12, and Big 12 be grouped in with those leagues? To me, I think that is a very fair argument.
Yeah.
Now, how far is that argument going to take it? I don't know. At the end of the day, Power 5, G5, whatever, certain leagues are making more money than other leagues. Right now, East Carolina is in the best of the next five. The Big 12, teams like UCF and Cincinnati left the American because of the monetary gains they can get from the Big 12. If ECU had the chance to go to the Big 12, they would go to the Big 12 for money. So it's just, at the end of the day, the leagues that make the most money are going to get that recognition. And I hate it for ECU because I do think it is unfair, but it is what it is. So we'll maybe discuss this more throughout the week as we get going. But, Philip, appreciate your time today, man.
Thank you.
And thanks for being in studio. Tomorrow we're scheduled to have Deshaun Amos, former ECU DB, CFL player, on the program as well. We'll also recap ECU ODU. You've been listening to Hoist the Colours on 94.3 The Game.
This has been Hoist the Colours with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colours on 94.3 The Game.
Ottavola in Greenville is your local marketplace. Ottavola offers diverse menu selections, casual lunches, and family meals ready to go. At Ottavola, they specialize in the creative use of fresh ingredients, seasonal menu selections, and fun culinary creations that will satisfy even the pickiest taste buds. Treat yourself to lunch or dinner at Ottavola, and make sure to join them in the bar on Saturdays from 4 to 11 with friends to enjoy the limited menu that includes many of your favorites. Ottavola, Red Banks Road, Greenville.
Marcy Bailey here to remind you that Mother's Day is right around the corner. Show your love and appreciation for Mom with something sparkly wrapped up in a Bailey box. We've curated an amazing Mother's Day gift guide with beautiful jewelry for every style and budget. Shoppable at BaileyBox.com. We also have all the top designers like David Yurman, Lagos, and Hippolyta, along with our highly sought-after Bailey's collections. Bailey's Fine Jewelry, voted best jeweler from the Triangle to the Coast.
Hi, I'm Derek Perry. As your local Allstate agent, providing protection that fits your life is something I take personally. I'm committed to learning about your needs and personalizing protection to meet them. From bundling your auto, home, and life insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage based on your protection needs, I can build an insurance proposal that fits your life. Contact me, Derek Perry, today at 252-758-8886. Are you in good hands?
For over 100 years, the families at Bertie County Peanuts have been growing and selling peanuts. Much has changed since 1919, but quality is still number one. So if you are looking for great North Carolina snacks and gifts, look no further than Bertie County Peanuts. Small batch, hand-cooked, and 100% guaranteed. You can't go wrong with their gourmet peanuts. Shop online at BertieCountyPeanuts.net, and the shipping is now free. Or visit them at Powell and Stokes in Windsor. Bertie County Peanuts, a North Carolina tradition.
5th Street Hardware announces daily lunch specials Tuesday to Friday from 11 to 3. The hardware daily specials are a great lunch for just $9. Tuesday is Burger Day. Get the 5th Street Hardware Classic Burger, Spicy Blue Burger, Carolina Classic Burger, or Patty Melt with all the fixins for just $9. Wednesday is flatbread pizzas for just $9, including bacon chicken ranch or pepperoni or vegetarian. On Thursday, it's the famous 5th Street Hardware Reuben, BLT, Club, or grilled pimento cheese sandwich with all the fixings for $9. The Friday $9 lunch special at 5th Street Hardware is fried fish, shrimp, or chicken tenders. 5th Street Hardware is the perfect spot for a business lunch or casual lunch with friends. And now the $9 hardware daily specials make 5th Street Hardware the hot spot for lunch. See you at 5th Street Hardware in the old hardware building.
94.3 WRHD HD1 Farmville, Greenville. Pirate baseball, yeah, we got that. 94.3 The Game.